Now, we will finally get the blow off top and altcoin season because the Federal Reserve has cut rates and promises to cut 3 more times this year, right? Well, 3 times in total this year. Do you think it's finally going to happen? Altcoin season, blow off top? First of all, Bitcoin's looking good. Look at this. I've been talking about breaking through this midway or huge resistance line, right? I mean, support on the way up and resistance if you are below it, right? And yesterday, we dipped below, but by closing, that's a strong close. Market pushed it above this level, and today we attempted a run at 118K. It's looking good. It's looking good, unless something bad happens with the stock market. Okay, here's the logic, and you're wondering why is the stock market behaving like this? Why was the stock market down when they cut rates? And especially, they said they're going to cut. Look at this. This is actually a concerning. And by the way, if it's going to be altcoin season, then which altcoin are we going to get into? Pablo today is going to talk about an altcoin that a lot of the whale friends around me. Pablo knows a lot of whales, and a lot of my friends are talking about this coin. Some of them have bought reasonably big positions, right? So it's very hot launch. Not many people know about it. I see very little people talking about it. We're going to talk about that today. But so here, Russell had a pop to new all-time high. Russell 2000 is the small stocks index. Small stocks index. This is the ETF, right? On the actual index, it actually popped above to a new all-time high, but closed on a topping tail. This is concerning. Look at this. This is also a topping tail, and look what happened since then, right? So that was dropped to April 7th. If we get a repeat of that here, we don't have to, but if we get a repeat of that here, then that would be pretty bad. Let's have a look at the volume. Yeah, that look, high volume rejection, that's a warning we need to be concerned about. Very high volume, as we can see on this day, yesterday, and topping tail rejection. So look, a reasonable scenario is if we get rejected back to say this kind of level, right? This 225, 226 area. Well, one, because this 226 area is where the last 2 tops were, and it's also where these tops were. If we get rejected, because this doesn't look good to me, bounce off here, 226, and then up we go again from 238 to 240 area. That would be a very good scenario, right? We definitely don't want to see another big drop like this, although it does have the potential to do so, because once again I will say big volume, topping tail, just like here. And this volume, see, on this day, on the November 25th top, it wasn't even as big. It wasn't as much volume, and the topping tail was only a small topping tail. Yesterday's topping tail was huge. So the reason why this is concerning is for a number of reasons. And most people are like, okay, Pablo, we've seen enough of your videos. We understand why you talk about the SPY and the NASDAQ, because Bitcoin directly follows them. But why are you talking about the Russell today? Well, there are 2 reasons why the Russell is a big deal. Because one, Russell is the small stocks index, which means it's meant to really benefit from the rate cuts. You see, for Magnificent 7 stocks like Apple, Nvidia, they have so much cash. They have like $50 billion of cash coming in from revenue from sales every year, so that even if Fed funds rates are high, they're not affected. They don't have to sell. They don't have problem paying back any of the debt. But the small companies, they almost always would borrow some money using debt, and they got to pay the bank back, right? So when interest rates in the United States went from 0% during COVID to 5.5%, those companies were choking. Now, the Federal Reserve is not only cut interest rates by 25 points, now they're saying we're going to cut twice more, then basically that means US stocks, US small companies should do well. And therefore, small stocks like this should do well. So it should make a new all-time high, but got rejected. And it was a bad rejection because there was a high volume and a large pullback like this. It was quite large intraday. The other reason why this is significant is because these small Russell 2000 index is kind of representative of risk on sentiment. It's a little bit like how should I say, the Ethereum chart. Like, if you look at this looks a little bit like the Ethereum chart, but it actually looks a little bit more. People compare it to the Ethereum chart, but I would compare to the chart. I would compare it to is probably let's call it Total 2. Total 2 is basically the altcoins chart. Yeah, altcoins chart. So let's have a look. Look at this. Look at this. It's basically a one-to-one fit for the. Let me turn off the volume here for the altcoins chart. Look at this, right? So this is altcoins and Russell. Look at this for Russell. So basically, this is the Russell chart. Russell bottoms. Let me just change different colors so we can see it better. Let's say we make it blue, deep blue. How about that? Okay, now we can see it better. Russell bounced. This was COVID bounce, and then the altcoins. Total 2 is basically all altcoins, including Ethereum, just not including Bitcoin. Came up and had a crazy run later on, right? And they went down together in November 2021, right? And then they swung sideways, and then Russell came up again, right? And altcoins followed, right? See how Russell came up first, then altcoins followed, and then Russell went up again, and altcoins followed. And then Russell and altcoins went down at the same time. And then they came up at the same time. So basically, you could say, I used to tell people that Bitcoin basically trades like the NASDAQ 100. And it does. It's got a high correlation with the NASDAQ 100. But, and that's why yesterday, when Fed announced they're cutting rates, Bitcoin went down. And that's why, because the NASDAQ went down. But before we get onto the altcoins and which altcoin that my whale friends are buying, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo He-Man use? Well, Pablo uses exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. That means the exchange can't even see who you are, right? So that means the IRS can't see you, the FBI can't see you, the tax office can't see you, the CIA, nobody can see you, total privacy. That's why I made this deal with them. This is an exclusive Pablo deal, only for my followers who are on this link. Only for this link. Went up to $120,000, 120,000 USDT, right? Just by trading. And so even just by deposit and win, get 20%. Deposit $100, get $20 US, deposit $1,000, get $200 US, right? And basically, just by being the top 20, get a share of up to 20% of the prizes, right? All sorts of great, wonderful promotions here with the Pablo link only. And if you're watching on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, and there on my profile page is the Stan link or link tree. When we click on that link tree, it should be the first deal that pops up because this is a great deal. There you go, folks. Okay, let's get back to the markets. And just remember, this deal is exclusive, only on the Pablo He-Man link. Only. Oh, and also, deadline, limited time only. Deadline is October 16th. October 16th deadline. Okay, let's get back to it, folks. Let's get back to this is a big deal. This is the big deal for altcoins. If then, by theory, if Russell was to break up another 20-30% like this, right? Then wouldn't you say that the altcoin market cap would follow? And obviously they don't they don't move at the same scale, right? Because we can see that Russell has only went up from what from this move was around 162 to 245, which is like up 50%. And altcoins have gone from 513 billion to 1.7 billion, which is up 3x. So this is not good when we see a rejection, right, in the Russell like this. So that's something to really be aware of. If the Russell gets rejected like this, what does that mean for altcoin season? But a lot of alts are clearly popping. So what was it about the rate cuts yesterday that has the market spooked? That why is it that the Russell is not going up, and even SP 500, Nasdaq, even they're not going up? Well, the reason is because the Fed didn't deliver anything new. The Fed basically said, in fact, let's put the altcoin chart together with SP 500. I mean, they do have similarities, don't they? Rising out of COVID, top around late 21, 22, top in late 21, bottom 22, then pump up and top, around December 24, SPY topped 1 month later, bottom April 7th. So they're all highly connected, but except the Russell is a much better indicator for altcoins season. So here, let's have a look at the I'll put it on daily. Why did SP 500 reject yesterday? It's okay, I suppose. Look, it opened here, right, and got disappointed by the Fed, went all the way down, and then came back. That's not bad. I mean, it's not great and not terrible. It's somewhere middle in between. So why did the markets do this? The markets did this because the markets was already 100% expecting a 25 points cut. And that's exactly what they got. They got a 25 basis points cut in interest rates and nothing more than that. But here's the kicker, right? So the market was expecting one more or two more rate cuts. And we got a projection which sort of says two more rate cuts, right? 9 people expect 2 more rate cuts here. And 2 people expect 1 more rate cut. And then 5 expect no rate cut. And 1 member even was advocating for a rate hike this year. I can already tell you who these 2 people are. They don't tell you, right? But this guy who's advocating for all the rate cuts is obviously Steve Moran, which is the guy Trump put into the White House. He's the one saying we should cut 50 points at a time for the next 3 meetings. So another 150 basis points cut by the end of this year. This one person who's advocating we should hike rates this year, I'm going to guess that's Lisa Cook. That's the person who Trump tried to fire from the FOMC committee at the Federal Reserve. It's becoming very political, right? It's not about what you believe is great for the economic future Commonwealth of America. It's about revenge and personal vendettas. Anyways, so the market was like, okay, so if you count the dots here, there's 8 dots up here. There's 10 dots down here, right? So they're saying that's a very narrow victory, right? That's a very narrow victory. If just one of these dots move here, then you have 9 versus 9. You just need to convince one person to move, and then basically you may not get a rate cut next month. You may not get a rate cut for the next 2 months. But so far, right, the market is saying narrowly pricing in 2 more rate cuts. So the market was a little bit disappointed. That's why our stocks pulled back. But however, Bitcoin is trying to price in some optimism, and trying to break above the key resistance, which is low 116s. As I said we think we're going to break above it, and we have done that. So we're at 17, nearly hit 118 now. My target was this 119 area. I said that's the technical target for this head shoulder. And someone pointed out there's even bigger head shoulder in play, and that's this shoulder, head. And if we do this, right, another shoulder, and up we go. I mean, look, I stay bullish, and from what I can see, my forecast hasn't changed. Below off top, and we top between September to November this year. So we're already 2 weeks into September. That's when Bitcoin tops. But for altcoin season starting, and then it usually tops like 2 weeks to 3-4 weeks later than Bitcoin, and then and then what's in the name? And then stocks top around the same time as altcoins. So what I would say about altcoin season is this. So this is the bull market peak indicator, right? There's about 30 indicators here. Some we're very familiar with, and if they are in the green, then it means we're still okay. If they're in the red, then basically the market is overheated, it's too much, Bitcoin is topping, right? So for example, like the Pi cycle top indicator, pure multiple, Bitcoin rainbow chart, right? MVRV score, right? Bitcoin bubble index. We've seen a lot of these, right? And last time when I showed it to you guys, everything was green. Everything was green, right? Today, only one indicator is red. Only one indicator, and that's the altcoin season index. So what does that mean? It's hit 100%. Means this is giving us a warning Bitcoin could be coming to a top. But this is one indicator out of 30. So I think the odds are Bitcoin hasn't topped yet. One more leg up. But this is telling us we're definitely in altcoin season. And I showed folks this this chart before. I made a video 3 days ago. I said that video was only showed this part of the chart. I said, look, once again, we're in altcoin season, but it just has to be a longer altcoin season and not be a short one like this. And some retard in the comments said, are we just not gonna have altcoin season because YouTubers say so? Because YouTubers say so, and we're just gonna have altcoin season, right? No, dickhead. Altcoin season comes because altcoin season indicator tells you that we're in altcoin season. And no measure is perfect, but I told you, if you're interested, why don't you just look it up? Why don't you just Google it? Because on Google, it's everywhere on the internet. You can just see what altcoin season indicator involves. They tell you exactly what they use to measure altcoin index, right? How it's calculated. It's on there, right there online. And does it work? Right? Has it captured the last few times we're in altcoin season? I think it's done a reasonably good job, even though nothing works 100% of the time, right? But you get retards asking questions all the time, right? And making comments. So the problem with the last two altcoin seasons, as we know, the one that ended around Feb 2024, is that it was way too short, right? Like it was a few days and then went down. And this one was only like a few days, right? A week or so, and then went down. So do we think this is going to be another short altcoin season that only lasts like a week or so? Or do we think it's going to be like 2021? See, 2021 went from March all the way to, this is when? This is June. So it was a 3-month altcoin season before it ended, right? Whereas the last two, the reason why altcoin season, this bull run feels painful is because they just have a short pop into altcoin season and it finishes. So the big question then is, will this be another short pop, or will it hang around for at least 6 weeks or so? Because my call is for September to November. So what if this altcoin season runs till November? What if it runs till mid-October, which is another 4 weeks from now, right? And the reason is people are. And another form of dumb comments is people say, like, oh yeah, this guy has been calling altcoin season for weeks or whatever. That's right, dickhead. I've been calling for altcoin season at the bottom when everything hasn't moved yet, right? They're all up 3, 5, 10x now. And now it's been confirmed. Now some indicator tells you, it's even by indicator, it's 100% confirmed and it's already out there in public. How much profit are you going to make, right? Maybe another 3x, but the people who got in, listening to Pablo 3 months ago, they'll be up 9x. 10x because they got in early. And now what's the altcoin season altcoin that a lot of my whale friends are buying? So there's been a lot of discussions within my group and a lot of whales around me who show me their transactions, and they're buying this coin called Stable. It's literally called Stable because it's like they issue stable coins and they allow other people to issue their own stable coins backed by real world assets, and basically they earn a yield on it. I have nothing to do with this coin. I'm not involving any promotion. Legally, I declare I'm not promoting this coin. I'm just talking about it because a lot of my whale friends are buying it. It had a big pop, but already valued at what? $90 million, but it came down from the top. So the reason why it's hot is because the founder of this stable STBL coin is Reeve Collins. And Reeve Collins was the founder, co-founder, and first CEO of Tether USDT, the largest stable coin in the world. And people are like, oh, that's amazing. So that's why a lot of my whale friends are buying it. They're like, Tether is launching a new stablecoin company. Tether, the world's biggest stablecoin company, Genius Act, all that. I said, no, calm down, guys, because I did the research. I did the research on this. He was, yes, this Reeve Collins was the founder, but then he basically, along with Brock Pierce and Craig Sellers, but then what happens is, it wasn't even called Tether USDT back then. It was called Real Coin, as in it's real US dollars, not just some cryptocurrency. Then he sold it. Sold the company 2015, 10 years ago. They sold Real Coin to Bitunix. Bitunix, as we all know now, changed the name from Real Coin to Tether and made it. And then 2 years later, 2017 bull run, Tether became huge. That's how it became huge. So I was like telling folks, if you want to buy a coin that's a stable coin that's launched by Tether USDT as we know it today, then this STBL coin is not it. But if you say, oh, look, it's a coin that I like its merits because it lets anybody mint their own stable coins. You know, it's kind of like pump.fun, but with stable coins and it's backed by real world assets. And it's launched by an OG, someone with the vision, who launched Tether like 12 years ago, but he didn't stick through with it. He sold it, and he's, not a billionaire like the guys who who run Tether now. So as long as you know that's the guy you're backing, then okay. So I'm just telling you guys, some of my whale friends are buying this. I'm doing more research on it. I'm not 100% sure about this coin because it's not Tether backing it. It's the guy who founded but then sold Tether before it took off. There are famous cases of this. Like there's a third partner in Apple. We all know Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. There was a third guy who had something like 8% of Apple stock. Imagine that, 8%. And he sold it all for like a few $1,000s. So imagine if that guy started a computer company. Would you buy stocks in that? It's not fair to describe this coin like this, but I'm just trying to warn people. It's not created by Tether, as we know Tether. But look, it's some of my whale friends are buying it. They seem to really like it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments how you think about this coin. Catch you next episode.